Hi everyone, it's Amélie from the Little Dexter Homestead, and it's been a little bit since I haven't posted a video, but we've had our little girl Adessa. She's really sweet, she's doing very well. Now I'm just recuperating as I had a cesarean, but I'll explain to you everything about that in the video.
(6:09 a.m. at Civic Hospital for scheduled C-section because of placenta previa complete. Here we are. Happy birthday, baby. See you soon.
Hello and welcome to the Little Dexter Homestead. Here we are again. A little bit of different news today, maybe a little more exciting than others. So, love, what do we have going on today?
Yeah, so we finally got the baby, and it is a little girl. So, yeah. We'll explain to you a little bit how things went. It went pretty much how we weren't expecting. But in the end, the Lord was with us the whole time, and that's what counts for us. And so let's start with how we got to a different delivery than we thought we would get. We were planning on getting a home birth. That was our whole plan from day one. Trevor and I were happy about that, and he was also born at home. You can maybe tell a little bit about that.
I'm one of 5 children in my family that were all born at home. So being born at home is something I'm familiar with. I've been there for. I've come back from school to a new sibling. So it's, it wasn't the biggest, hardest choice to make, to have a home birth for us.
Yeah, and if I can quickly share, so his 2 older sisters were born at the hospital, and then after that, the 5 children, his mom decided to have them all at home, and she had a very nice experience at home, and she enjoyed it. So, when I was thinking about his mom, I was like, oh, she's such a strong mother to be able to have her children at home. It takes someone sure and prepared. And anyway, this is what we've done. We've prepared ourselves. My good friend gave us a bunch of CDs and a bunch of information about home birth, and also his mom gave us some book. And it was pretty, we were all ready, all sets for that. And I didn't want anything else other than to have my baby at home. And one day, though, at week 34, in the 34th week, I had a bleed, and I wasn't sure what it was, so I immediately called my midwife, and I was in tears because I wasn't sure what was going on. And I didn't think it was all that much in the end. I thought maybe I'm starting to have an opening, the mucus plug or something is coming out. But then maybe you can say about that.
Well, called the midwife, and midwife first question is fetal movement, and we were fortunate that our child was very vigorous in the womb for most of the entire pregnancy. So that's the number one sign of fetal health, is that. So she calmed us down, and fortunately the next day we were having a midwife appointment anyway. So we settled down, went the next day, had that appointment with our midwife, and because of the bleed, there were a number of possibilities of what it could have been. So she recommended that we have an ultrasound to just rule out any potential complications that may be present. And so this was actually going to be the first ultrasound that we were having in this pregnancy. We chose not to have any just because it made our life simpler, and we put our faith in the Lord. And actually, my mother, with the 5 of us born at home, not a single ultrasound on any of us, and we all everything turned out for the better. But
Yeah, we must admit, though, we were praying that the Lord would show us if there is anything that we need to do an ultrasound for whatsoever reason. Trevor and I were open to do that. But in the meantime, I was walking an hour plus a day straight, and I had no issues. Everything was doing well until that little bleed that I had. So that's what happened, and she kind of strongly recommended that we would do it.
this was, it
Just to
wasn't,
rule out.
it was just, it was just to give an update and to rule out any negative aspects that may be there. And so, we, to just make sure everything was good, everything was on the level. We went ahead and agreed to that, and we were actually very fortunate. We were maybe 5 minutes away from the midwife clinic when we got a call from the ultrasound clinic, and we actually had it scheduled for before noon the next day. So there we went and got our first ultrasound, got some pictures. We were actually checking for something called placenta previa, and that's where the placenta is low down and close to the cervix. And for a home birth, you actually want that placenta to be 3 centimeters or farther away from that cervix. And so that was the whole point of this ultrasound, was to determine that location and make sure that where it was, just find that out. With that ultrasound, we don't get the results immediately. It gets sent off to be examined. And so that was a Wednesday. And so come the weekend, we actually went ahead and went to a birthing class for that weekend. It was one scheduled with a local organization, held in a local community center. And it was incredibly informative and good to go to, got good information. Met some other people, and it was good. There wasn't a lot of focus on home birth for us, but it gave us an idea of what to expect, what was going on, should you ever have to go to the hospital. There was that information as well. So highly recommended. The lady giving the class was very kind. This is something she's passionate about and does all the time. She barely looked at her notes. It was amazing. So that got us through the weekend, and then Monday we got a call from our midwife with the results.
Yeah, and then when she called, she says, "Yes, Amélie," and she sounded a bit worried, a little bit more worried than what I heard her before. And I said, "So what's going on?" And she said, "Well, Amélie, you have a placenta previa complete, it seems like. And what that is that my placenta, the placenta of the baby, or the placenta was directly right on the cervix, like covering the whole cervix. Like it was not 3 centimeter, it was not 1 centimeter, it was like complete on it. So that means that if I were to go in labor, then that would be meaning that I would kind of
You'd hemorrhage, and it would be, wherever you would be, it would be an immediate trip to the hospital.
Yeah.
So not only was it a placenta previa complete, but it was also an anterior placenta previa, which means the placenta was on the front of the womb, the uterus. So that was very interesting information and not quite what we expected and hoped for. So we ended up scheduling a second and more advanced, more complete ultrasound to double check and confirm that information. Our midwife had told us, with the situation that we had, that our child needed to be delivered between 36 and 37 weeks of pregnancy. There's no desire to wait for any signs of labor to start, because that's just when the problems start. So we want to get that early and quick.
It was confirmed with that second ultrasound that yes, it was again like placenta previa complete, and that it needed to be done at 36 weeks. So I needed to have a C-section done. We couldn't wait for me to go in labor, because like we said, it would have gone into hemorrhage. I could have died. I was truly between death and life here, and not just my death, but also the death of the child. If I would have gone into labor, so I was really, for a week, it took a week for us to have the appointment to, from the time we got to know the news from the C-section, there was a week that I had to be, I was like, at that point, I was really like, whew, I don't want to say stressed, because I would put all my cares in the hands of the Lord. But at the same time, I was like, Lord, if you want me to live, it's because you still have a purpose for me here on earth, and for this child as well. So we got the C-section on the Thursday, thankfully. At that point, like I said, I wanted nothing to do with the C-section before. I was like, no, ever. Like, I don't want ever to have a C-section. But we ended up we had to have that, because like I said, I was between death and life here. And just to go briefly with the C-section, I think we can get to this point at that point, is that they had to cut me, and like Trevor said, the placenta was in front of my
Uterus.
My uterus, so they had to cut through the placenta, meaning that lots of blood would be coming out at that point. And surely a lot of blood came out, but not enough to have a transfusion, thanks to the Lord. But in a like very short moment, I had over a liter of blood that came out. So just imagine that if I would have gone into labor, how much blood I would have. I mean, I wouldn't have make it to the emergency even.
Very possibly.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it was a lot, but it actually ended up, thanks to the Lord, it ended up being just slightly more than a normal C-section. And it was such also that the delivery team was able to do something called delayed cord clamping. Our fear was that there was going to be so much blood that the second they delivered the baby, they would have had to clamp the cord and get her out. But fortunately, bleeding was under control enough that they were able to allow 60 seconds of blood flow from that placenta to the little child, giving her that much more blood to have after the delivery, that it was all under control. And so it was excellent. It was actually what they normally do. And it was also a blessing that the second they pulled her out, she started to make noises and cry. They didn't have to clean out her airways or anything like that. It was quite amazing.
Yeah, that was one of my number one prayer, is that she would come out and being healthy spiritually, mentally, and physically. And when she would come out, that I would hear her cry, and not to go for a while without crying and wonder, when you're under and you can't move and you can't see where your child is and you can't hear her. But as soon as she came out, she did a quack, and she was making herself heard.
Yeah, it went well. We were able to nurse the baby, breastfeed the baby. We were able to recover and manage pain without any opiates. It's impressive when you get a C-section that cuts through 7 layers of your body, and then they all have to be sewn back up. So we were able to, with some homeopathics and some Tylenol and Advil, manage the pain, which was truly a blessing.
Yeah, and we had also our midwife was so amazing. She followed us the whole way, even though it was not her hospital anymore. We had to go to an emergency hospital where they deal with more of my case. But she followed us. She stuck with us, and also our naturopath as well was amazing. She had got me ready with homeopathic supplements for, because usually when you have a C-section 4 weeks in advance, then your milk production is really low or you don't have any at all. But she had me all covered up and ready for that, and also for pain and for the baby as well. So we were ready, like in a very short moment, we were ready. And just to come back, the last thing I think I want to say is that no, we haven't done the ultrasound before, but we, like we said, we prayed to the Lord that He would be with us with regards to that. And when it was time for us to know about getting an ultrasound and see what's going on, it was just the right time. Because if we would have known that I would have a placenta previa, and again, I'm saying this, and it's not for everybody, but for us it worked out well, because if we would have known that before, that would have meant that I would have been stressed out.
Yeah, it's this is a condition that there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you did wrong to get it. It's not because of your diet or because
your
of
age.
your age or anything like that.
Nothing.
It just happens that placenta has to attach somewhere in your body, and for us, it happened to be in the worst possible place for trying to have a natural birth. And so the nice thing about that is there was no failure on our part in regards to this.
I've asked the midwife, I've asked the doctor naturopath, I said, was there anything I could have done differently or anything like that? And they said, no, wherever the placenta will attach, there it will stay. There's so many blood vessels connected to the uterus that, if it moves, it's because of the placenta when it's stretched. It's the uterus when it's stretched out. Then it will move together with the uterus. But other than that, where it sticks from the beginning is where it will grow and stay there. So that's that. So
that placenta is about the size of a dinner plate. So that there's a lot of area that it covers up.
Yeah, exactly. And we're so big,
So yeah, absolute blessing. Having a midwife with us, dedicated care team. She was there at the delivery. She convinced them to allow both me and her into the operating room at the same time, when usually they only allow one. So it was great to have her. I was able to be with Amélie. She was actually with the baby to make sure everything, the care was taken according to our wishes in terms of what was actually done after the delivery. And then she was there during our recovery. She was our advocate. She was working with the nurses and the doctors to make sure that we got out of there as quickly as possible with as little problems as possible.
Yeah.
So
It turned out to be well, and we're thankful. I'm doing well. The recovery is,
ahead of schedule.
Yeah.
Everybody's surprised at how quickly she is healing. So that's an absolute blessing there. And yeah.
But again, all the, take care of how you eat, the exercise I was doing, all of that, and the points, you can go back to our other videos if you're new here, of how I got myself prepared before and during. All that truly, truly helped my situation that I got into. And now we're at 3 weeks and some days, and I'm already walking outside again. And she's doing very well too. So we'll show you some pictures. Thank you so much for everybody that has been asking about her or just wondering. I'm sure those who are looking, some of you, you're like, you were just not necessarily all the time wondering, but just wondering how if I got the baby or not. But yeah, she's very healthy, and we're happy, and thanks to the Lord for all of that. Yeah.
Yeah, we are truly thankful for everybody who watches, for subscribers, for those who comment. We love interacting with you, so thank you for that. Stick around. We're still going to have more content. We still have our wonderful little farm here that we're on, and life is going to be just all the more different and exciting now that we have a very important addition to this little homestead.
Yeah. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, may the Lord truly bless you and keep you.
Until next time.
Bye for now.